Yeah, it's good morning. I
Good
can hear you
morning.
from my end.
All right. Okay, thank you. Okay, you're all welcome to today's training. My name is Onyefasola Adebayo. I'm sure some of us are familiar with you because, I've been in contact with you via mail, so I'm sure some of us are familiar. And I just want to welcome you today. I'm so excited to have all of you join us today. Um, so let's get a bit interactive. Okay? I'd like all of us to introduce ourselves in the chat room, and also um say what does sustainability mean to you, so we can get started. Okay. Okay, someone is asking. I said we should all introduce ourselves, please, in the chat room, and please also tell us what does sustainability mean to you. Thank you very much, Adams. Yes, yes, sustainability is the future. I think I'll just go first so that others can also drop their response in the chat. Can everyone confirm they can hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So to start off, for me, I would say that sustainability means making conscious choices today that can positively impact our future. So it's sustainability is really important. So it's all about balancing our economic, social, and environmental needs in a way that ensures long-term growth. So we should be conscious of the, steps and actions that we are taking today, just so it doesn't have a negative impact on our future. So basically, it's all about being responsible stewards of our resources, right? So we have an insightful lineup today, and I'm going to be handing over to Dr. Orlando, who is going to be our trainer. Is going to be putting you through on today's training. So please hold on. Wow. Okay, yeah, Dr. Orlando is there.
Do I go ahead?
Yes, sir, please, you can go ahead.
All right. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. I trust you all very well. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Great to have you all here. So there's a lot that we've got to do today. And I'm going to use the chat room a lot. So I will put my my name is. I will put a link in the chat room, or when you go, you can put my LinkedIn on profile on LinkedIn link in the chat room. So
Yeah.
people who want to know about me as a person, you can follow me on LinkedIn and yeah, pretty much. So it's great to be here. I'm a sustainability professional. I'm also an SDG expert and a researcher when it comes to sustainable development goals. And it's excellent to have all of you here. The first thing I'd like to do is, so maybe Esther, when you can help me with that, is to put the SDG, the goals. Yeah, so usually there's a slide for the goals. So I'll put it in the chat room, everybody, because that's the critical part of this whole thing. Just ensuring that we all understand what this is. So hopefully this training session will meet the expectations of everyone. Hopefully. So who do I have here? I have different people from different backgrounds. I can see a lot of people. If I try to read the many things or the many profiles that I'm seeing here, it'll take too much of our time, and I know that we want to finish this session by noon. So once again, thank you very much, everyone. I'll put my profile in the chat room so you can connect with me. I'm happy to connect with all of you as it is. So thank you. Okay, so different people have also given their own thoughts with regards to what does so how do we differentiate? So maybe that would be my first question. Which is the bigger bucket? The conversation around sustainability versus SDG. Anybody? We can go to the chat room. As I said, I like to use the chat room in my training classes a lot. So what's the difference? Anybody? You can type in here. What's the difference? Sustainability versus SDG. What's the difference? Sustainability versus SDG. Anybody? All right? Anybody? Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Who's going to help me out? Anybody? What's the difference between sustainability versus SDG? Which is the bigger bucket? All right. Anybody? Come on. Anybody? Uh, Khadija says depends on how you look at it. Yeah, so give me your, in this instance, I would really say there's like a right or wrong answer. So, however you decide to say it is fine. So you tell me.
If I can I speak?
Yes, you can. Please go ahead.
Perfect. So the reason why I said that is because I mean sustainability, I look at sustainability as an umbrella whereby like all the other environment, social governance initiatives sit. The SDGs will obviously sit under that as well. But if we're thinking about the fact that the SDGs are going to be phased out, we don't know yet. Either they'll be phased out in the next 5 years or they will be continued. The time crunch that's currently what's the word? The time effects basically, because we're slowly getting to 2030. I think that sort of brings them more to the fore as well, because we're thinking about if we're going to achieve them or not, and that time pressure basically could make them a bigger conversation in the sustainability space. But I think sustainability is a bigger.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. But I mean, as of today, we don't know what will happen in 6 years' time, right? Or 5 years from now. But as of today, which is the bigger bucket, right? I think, and I like what you said. Sustainability is like some kind of big umbrella, right? So, the two things that, or three things. So everybody, sustainability versus SDG versus ESG versus CSR. Everybody, right? Right? Have you seen that? Sustainability versus SDG versus ESG versus CSR, right? So I do agree with all of you that have said sustainability is like an overall type uh, umbrella. Inside of it, like it's like sustainability is like an elephant of some sort. It depends on what portion of that elephant that you're holding, right? So for some, yeah, I work in a lot of organizations where the interpretation of sustainability is purely SDG, right? So think about sustainability, think about SDG. I've seen organizations where the interpretation of sustainability is purely ESG, right? And I've also seen organizations where the interpretation of sustainability is purely CSR. Are we all together? So, but generally speaking, I think the conversation around sustainability being some kind of overarching type uh, umbrella is definitely right, right? A couple of other questions that I have, right? So let's talk about ESG. The E in ESG. What is the E in ESG? What is the standard? What is the ISO standard for the E in ESG? Right? Then the ISO standard for it. All right. Then what is the S in ESG? What is the ISO standard for it? Okay, I mean, I don't agree. That one that you have written is one of them, but okay, now you corrected it, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Um, the S in ESG. What is that S in ESG? What is the ISO standard for the S in ESG? And then also in ESG, the G in ESG. What is the ISO standard for the G? All right. Can somebody write? So each of them inside of ESG, each of them has got an ISO standard. Each of them has got an ISO standard. All right. 14,001. Thank you, Chika. Thank you, Chika. S is 26,000. Brilliant. Aha. So now I'm going to catch you. What about the G? Who's going to answer that one? Anita and Chika have answered. I've answered that one. So what about the G? Aha. Let me see who's going to give me an answer to that. Let me see who's going to give me an answer to that one. What about the G? Who's going to get that right? I definitely want to see. Who's going to get the G? Right, Anita, give her Anita a round of applause. And Sally and Jenny, well done. Well done. So you can see that ESG is a combination of three standards. Oh, no. No. The ESG, the Iaduni also got it, Sally, Jenny, Anita, and Islamat. All right, Adiabu, well done, well done. So you can see that ESG, everybody is a combination of what? ISO 14001, am I right? Plus 26,000 plus what? 37,000. Everybody. That's ESG. Those, so when people say E, for a lot of people, the interpretation of ESG is purely one of them. I've seen a lot of organizations when they say ESG, they're only thinking about the environment, or they're only thinking about CSR, or they're only thinking about governance. So it's this. Everybody, I also want you to go online and check out a document called IWA 48. It's an ISO standard. Everybody, you're going to check out that document. called IWA 48. Everybody, everybody, go and check out the document called, all right, everybody. So what do you think that document is about, all right? What do you think that document is about? Can anybody tell me? IWA 48 is an ISO standard. What do you think the document is about? It came out towards the end of last year. It's brand new, or actually this year. Early this year was when it was actually posted to the world. What do you think the document is about? Anybody? It's an ISO standard. It's called IWA 48. It's a brilliant document. Anybody? Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chika. Thank you. Thank you. That's really what it's about. It's a useful document that will help any organization that's serious about ESG. It will guide them. Maybe Onyiko will put the link for the session that we had a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure she'll share the link for that session in the chat room. All right. It's a brilliant document for anybody that's serious about ESG. It's a brilliant document for anybody that is serious about ESG. Good. Let's speak about CSR. A lot of organizations do CSR. Am I right? Why is it that organizations have not, that there is poor adoption? Why is it that there's poor adoption of ISO 26000? A lot of organizations, they all do CSR. There's so many organizations that do CSR. A lot of organizations that actually do CSR. A lot of organizations, they do CSR. But why is it that, number one, apart from the poor adoption, how is it that ISO 26000 is barely known? It's barely known. That standard has been around for a while, at least 10 years. Go and check it out. Everybody, maybe somebody can drop the link, Esther, or you can drop the link to the, why is it that it's barely known by organizations who, even organizations that say that they do, what's that thing called? Organizations that say that they do CSR, because that really is the standard for CSR. Why is it that it's not known? Why is it that there's poor adoption relative to that standard? Everybody, share your thoughts with me very quickly. Anybody? Everybody? Share your thoughts with me before we move on. Why is it a standard like that, which is, and it's been around for a while. As I said, it's been around for a minimum of about 10 years. It's not a new standard. It's been around for a very long time. Why are organizations, why are they not serious when it comes to, why are they not adopting ISO 26000? People don't even know that the standard does exist at all. Okay, Temitope says, poor knowledge of CSR processes and guidelines. Well, that definitely is a possibility. What else? What else do you think is the reason? What else is the reason, right? That people don't know that there is actually a standard that they should adopt, that will help them do corporate social responsibility appropriately. And I also coined another term called, apart from CSR, I also coined another term as a person. I called it ISR. Everybody, what do you think ISR means? Yeah? What do you think that means? I coined something called ISR. All right? And I think the ISR concept is a very important concept. I think ISR is a very important concept. Aha! Thank you very much, Anna Ugu. Yes, thank you very much, Anna. Right. Thank you very much, Anna. right? So it's the no, not international, not integrated journey. It's the individual. You know, when you say one is corporate, the other one is like an individual, and I think individuals should do this. I think individuals should do a lot of individual social responsibility. There's the corporate one, the one like this program that is being run by us, for example, is corporate, right? We're an organization and we're running this as part of our own uh, contribution to sustainability, to SDG, and it's also CSR for us. However, the you might also have things that you do as an individual that you might be helping, supporting. So it's not just corporate organizations that should do social responsibility related things. Also, individuals can also do it. So there's also the individual social responsibility as it is, right? So so you've learned, I mean, everybody, you've learned a couple of things today, right? Already, that the concept of sustainability covers SDG, covers uh covers ESG, covers CSR, covers many things, the entire concept. So it's some of people, what are some of the assumptions people make when it comes to sustainability? Some people think that sustainability is equal to, a lot of people think that sustainability is equal to health and safety. Who are those that think that health and safety is equal to sustainability? A lot of people think that health and safety is automatically equal to sustainability. A lot of people think that. Who are those? Who are the HSC professionals on the call, right? But that's not true. Sustainability is beyond health and safety. Some people think that sustainability is equal to the environment, right? So, you know, and climate change. Who are those people here? Who are the climate change experts on the call? Who are the climate change experts on the call? Who are those that are the climate change experts on the call? All right, who are they? Some people think that sustainability is equal to the environment, the management of the environment, climate change plus green, everything that is got to do with green. Who are those? Who are the climate change experts on the call? So some people think that sustainability is equal to environment and to climate change, but it's not. It's way beyond that. No, Nana, I disagree. It is equal. No, sustainability is a bigger bucket. It is way beyond just environment. It is way beyond health and safety. Who are those that think that sustainability is, who are the HR experts on the call? Some people think that sustainability is equal to, what's that thing called? DEI. Who are the HR people? What does DEI mean? Anybody? What does, all right? All right. What does that mean? Who are those that think that sustainability is equal to DEI? All right. Diversity, equity plus what? Who are those? You know, I've heard all sorts. All right. I have heard all sorts. Different people think about DEI from, I mean, think about sustainability from different perspectives. But sustainability is like an overall thing. Okay, now let's now start to talk about let's talk about SDGs for a minute. Let's speak about SDGs for a minute now. So who are those that are here that think that SDG belongs to the government? Anybody? All right, SDG. What are your thoughts when it comes to SDG? Some people think that it's a government thing, right? Government initiative. All right. Some people think it's a government initiative. Okay, Temitope says it's part of life, it's a practice that she goes in every sector, blah, blah, blah. Right, good. Okay, good. I like Nana says it's for all of us, right? So, but, so Nana, while you might say that it's for all of us, who owns majority? Let's talk about let's call it the 80-20 rule. Has anybody heard of the 80-20 rule? Anybody? What does the 80-20 rule? What does it mean? Anybody? Do you know what the 80-20 rule? Do you know what it means? Anybody? Do you know what the 80-20 rule means? Do you know what the 80-20 rule? Do you know what it means? Anybody? Check now. You know, this is modern day, right? All of us have the AI on Instagram, we have AI on Instagram, we've got AI on WhatsApp, we've got AI everywhere. All right. So if we are going to share the responsibility, who owns 80% of SDG implementation or adoption? Implementation versus adoption. Who owns 80%? All right. And all right, who owns it? Absolutely. I mean, so all right, absolutely, absolutely. 80% of SDG, right? Like it or not, agree or disagree, it actually belongs to the government. 80% of this whole thing, when it comes to SDG, it doesn't mean that you and I don't have a part to play. My internet tricks on me. So who are the prayer warriors amongst us? Please pray for my internet. My internet is always good, always good, because I'm always having all sorts of calls every day. So my internet is always.
Okay, so I think we're having a bit of challenge. And anything else confirm that you can hear me, so I know that it's not from my side.
We can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Esther, you need to pray a bit more. Make sure that my internet, all right? Make sure my internet works. Only all
All
the prayer warriors on the call, make sure that my internet works. Right?
Welcome back.
Right. Okay. As I said, I always have great internet. So I hardly ever have internet problems. I think I stay close to some kind of MTN base station, so I usually have great internet. Anyways, it's fine. Okay, good. So everybody, so I was asking, so Okwemi Olawale, are you like an expert when it comes to SDGs? That would be great. I mean, that's excellent. So Okwemi, you should make sure that you're contributing a lot to this. To the Nana said prayer. Nana's going to start praying. Nana, yes. Right. So that's great. So I wish this was a physical class. Tell me who can recite on 1 to 17 SDG? Who are those that can tell me off the top of their head? Who can tell me at least the numbers, right? Who can recite at least maybe 12 of the, let me say 10, like 10 of the SDGs, right? From 1 to 17. They can tell me the specific numbers for the SDGs, the specific numbers and the titles. So 1, poverty; 2, hunger; 3. Are you serious, Nana? How many can you do? Give me the number. Nana, tell me, how many can you do? Eyes closed. Sally, how many can you do? Are you serious? All. Wow. That's great. Okwemi, you know, Okwemi, you can say the 17 of them just like that. Wow. That's great. That's great. That's great. That's really good. That's really good. All right. You know, you just oh, Sally, you had to memorize them. I like that. I had to memorize them for an exam at some point in time. And I was surprised. I just sat in the exam and I just wrote the 17 of them just like that. I'm not sure I can remember. I'm not sure I can trust myself to get the entire 17 right, right now, but I did that at some point in time. Victoria also said, how many did you see? Victoria, please switch on your microphone and sing the song for us. Please sing the song for us. Sing the song. Cheryl says, I only know 9. I learned the first 5, right? Then I learned 10. Then I learned 16 and 17, right? So it was first the first 5, then it was number 10, and then 16 and 17, like that. And but at some point in time, it was an exam that made me just learn everything. I sat in that exam and I just typed everything out, and I was very exactly. Now Victoria needs to teach us the song. Go Victoria, Victoria, please, or record the song and send it to us. All right, everybody, that's great. I mean, so I have some real experts. I have some real experts on the call, which is great. Good. So everybody, I want to show you something, 2 things. Everybody, can you go open the browser, open something on your computer, and go and type something called ISO 53002 and another standard called ISO 37017. What exactly are these 2 standards? What are they for? And who should be implementing, adopting these 2 standards? Everybody, go and check. So everybody say, hey, Victoria will teach us the song before we finish this class. So don't worry. Okay, so that's fine. We will beg Victoria to all right. So everybody, okay, good. I was going to put both of them. These 2 standards, I'll put them in the chat room. Okay. Okay. I put them in the chat room. Both of them. Everybody, can you tell me what do these 2 standards? What are they for? What do they stand for? These 2 standards. What are they for? What do they stand for? What is the value from both of them? Anybody? I want everybody to go and look at both of them. Right. So you can see now, everybody, that there's actually a guidance document from ISO. Our organization is an ISO company. We're a specialist company. We pretty much, on one hand, as an organization, I can almost say, in local parlance, I can almost say we know sabi pass ISO as an organization. I can almost say that on one hand, that as an organization, we don't sabi pass ISO. Like that's what we do morning, afternoon, and night. ISO standards from different perspectives as an organization. Okay, so what is the other one, everybody? What's the other standard? 37017. And what is it for? ISO 37. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Sorry. Oh, sorry. That was my mistake. I wanted to write. Oh, sorry about that. I just looked at it properly. I wanted to write 37101. Sorry. ISO 37101. I apologize. It's 37101. What's the difference? Who should be doing what with each of these standards? Who should be doing what with each of these standards? Which one applies to who? All right? Think about it properly before you rush to give me an answer. Think about it properly before you give me an answer. Think about it properly. Who should be doing what with what? These two standards, what are they for? Why should you be thinking about them? Why should you be worried about them? No. Okay, I mean, so the right standard, it's 37101. So not you're talking about 37001. That's anti-bribery. So the right one, it's 37101. Okay, anybody? So if you're like an oil and gas company and you're working in a certain area where you're doing, all right, so who should, all right, so who should do what? Uche, thank you very much. All right. Up, right? So one of them is for communities. So which of this? So an oil and gas company is doing drilling in a certain community. An oil and gas company is doing drilling in a certain community. Which of these standards is more applicable to that oil and gas company? A manufacturing company is working in a certain community. A dredging company, a mining company is working. Which of them? Right? Yeah, I think so. Now, all the state governments, every state in Nigeria, or every region in Ghana, right? Every state in Nigeria or every region in Ghana, can we say it's appropriate or applicable for them to adopt ISO? Should state governments, and state or regional governments, and even federal government, what should they be looking to do with ISO 53002? Can anybody tell me? And I hope you know you can download the 53002 document. I hope you know that, right? You can download that document. So what should the state and federal government, what should they do? Somebody, Okwayemi and others, Victoria, and all the great people that are on the call, what should organizations be looking to do with, what should government be looking to do with 53002? Now, is it the government that should be adopting 53002 or corporate organizations? Which one? Everybody think about this properly. Think about it properly. Who should really be adopting ISO What should really? I like Victoria. Victoria says both. I kind of like that. Rosetta also says both. I like that. I really do like that. Okay. Both of them. Right. Both. So that does that mean that banks, insurance, does that mean that banks plus insurance plus pensions plus telecommunications, does that mean that all these entities should be adopting 5002? Is that what we're saying? Are we unequivocal in that regard? Is that what we're saying, that corporate institutions should adopt 53002? Okay, what about, are we also saying, so for example, Lagos State or Ogun State or Accra, are we also saying that each of these entities should also be adopted? Are we saying that the federal government of Nigeria, the government of Ghana, are we saying that even at the national level, that they should be adopting this particular standard? Is that what we are saying? For government, is that what we are saying? Okay, right. Okay, 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 right. Okay, good. That's fine. That's brilliant. So, I mean, my personal opinion, everybody, my personal opinion is that in reality, you know, I said it already. I said 80% of SDG implementation and adoption belongs to the government, right? And I want to make this more of a discussion rather than just running you through slides. And I will show you some slides. It's not a, you know, we have a lot of slides, right? We even have a lot of links on YouTube already. So Esther and Oyinko, if you can get the Champions course, the first version, the second version, if you can get 53001 recording, we've got all sorts of recordings and all that, right? So, but I agree with everybody. I think organizations really should do this. Now, let me ask you this question, everybody. Which is more important for a corporate organization? Which is more important for a corporate organization? Which should come first? Adoption of ISO 53002 or adoption of Iowa 48? Let's me just leave it to those two. So at least when you give me your answer, you have to justify. For a corporate organization, which should come first? Which should come first? For a corporate organization, which should come first? 53002 or IWA 48? As I said, when you give me your answer, you have to put a justification, a quick one-line justification behind it. Which should come first? Which should come first? For a corporate organization, which one really should come first? Adetitu says, IWA, Temitope says, Amira says, okay, Amira, you have to give me that, you have to explain why or how to me, right? Fatima says, okay, the IWA 48 people are winning. Are you saying that for an organization,, before SDG? Okay. Is that what we're saying? ESG before SDG for an organization. That seems to be what a lot of people are saying. Of course, maybe you're an SDG expert, so you're very you're what's the word now? You're biased. Maybe you're biased. Identity says, okay, okay. So it seems most people are saying that an organization, but Amira is okay. So it seems most people are saying that the ESG before SDG for corporate organizations, that if they have to do, pick one. If they have to pick one, it seems most people are saying ESG before SDG. Okay, good. Let us quickly discuss SDG. On your mark, set, go. I hope everybody's ready. All right. Number one talks about poverty. All right. So I have a question. Should poverty even be there? Shouldn't we take out poverty? All right. Shouldn't we take out poverty? Number one. There is can anybody look for the link? Esther, can you Philip, can you look for the link? Sorry about that, Mimi. We've been on this call a long time ago. Sorry, maybe, I don't know, it's internet where you are as it is, right? Can you look for the link for something called the Poverty Index Report? The Poverty Index Report. All right, the Poverty Index Report. I have an opinion. I think they should take out poverty. Take out number one. You know why? You know why? Because the lack of everybody go and look at, I like that, the lack of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right, is the reason for poverty. Everybody. There's no point talking about poverty, because the reason why poverty does exist is because food has a problem, health has a problem, education has a problem. There is no water or clean water for the common man. There is no affordable energy. So the work conditions for the common person is poor. So the reason why poverty does exist is because of the lack of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. As I said, can anybody, okay, should I go and look for that link? Thank you very much. Thank you. That's what I'm saying, because poverty is not useful. Because, you know, I have an opinion around, right? I have an opinion around, Good, thank you very much. Everybody look at this link. It's being shared by my people. Of course, this is not the word of God. Anybody can disagree. But before you disagree, before you disagree, everybody open this link. There is a report, the 2024 multidimensional nature of poverty. Before you disagree, everybody, I hope you can open it on your phone or on your computer. I don't know how you're doing this. All right. If you go to look at Uche, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that if you look at this report, everybody, can you please take a minute? Everybody, let's just take a minute. And also, Philip, Esther, Oingo, if you open that report, there is a page that talks about, it's like an overall type one pager. There is an image. There is an image for like the overall the indicators of poverty. You will see that the indicators of poverty, can you help me get that one pager, right? That shows the indicators in that report. So what I'm saying to you, right, everybody, is that poverty only exists because 2 is poor, 3 is poor, 4 is poor, 5 is poor, 6 is poor, 7 is poor. All those areas are poor. Because those areas are poor, that is why we have poverty. And if you check this report, that's exactly what they've shown. This is a really good report for anybody that is a champion, a practitioner, somebody who's interested in anybody who's interested in in sustainability, especially when it comes to SDGs. That the lack of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and others is the reason why you have poverty. This is one of the ones, but there's another one that I'm looking for. I've got it in one of my slides, but I don't want to have to keep leaving my screen. I get distracted. All right. So if you look at this, right, you will see that poor education leads to poverty. Lack of food caused by poor agricultural practices leads to poverty. Lack of accommodation leads to poverty. Lack of good health care leads to poverty. The things that lead to poverty, and it's in that report. In fact, if you type that report into Google and click on images, it will show you, if you just type the name of the report into Google and you click on images, it will show you something. So it will tell you it's picked some key indicators. All right, thank you very much. This is one of those areas. So this report is saying that when health is a challenge, it's equal to poverty. When education is a challenge, it's equal to poverty. That's the point I'm trying to make. That because let us take everybody on today, let us take a, thank you very much, Sally, right? Sir, I can stand up on my chair and give you a round of applause because that's another point. I will come to your point, sir. I will come to that point because that point you just made is one of my submissions when it comes to SDGs, right? So, and once again, anybody can disagree, right? I think number one that poverty is not very useful. I want you and I to take a solution provider, or what I would like to call a solution-centric approach to the SDGs. Everybody, did you hear that? Let us take a solution-centric, not just an analyst position. Let us take a solution provider or a solution-centric approach to SDGs. How do you resolve poverty? How do you resolve poverty? You can only resolve poverty by dealing with number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. That's how you deal with poverty. Are we together? So personally, there is nothing really to do under number 1, because to fix number 1, fix 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you very much, Gloria. It's cause and effect. Absolutely. Poverty is the effect of the lack of all the others. Precisely my point. Precisely my point. Okay, that's my point number 1. And as I said, all of you can disagree. Right? It doesn't really matter. We're not, nobody is the god of SDGs. It's just my opinion. Number 2, I think the first SDG for Africa, the first SDG for Africa should be number 16. And inside of that number 16, they must include a word called governance in there. And I think governance is the big challenge. In fact, I wrote something at some point in time. I said, poor governance at the national, state, local government levels is the root of all evil, of all national evil. Everybody, look at what I just wrote, right? Poor governance. Everybody. That number 16, they need to include the word poor governance there. And I think that should be number one. The problem of Africa, the problem of Africa is one thing. Africa has one challenge, one. Poor governance and leadership. That's it. That is the root of all evil. Everybody. I wrote something that poor governance and leadership, which they are silent on, so not silent, which is embedded, is the right word. Africa has one problem. The 54 countries in Africa, we all have only one problem. One. And that one problem, which is the root of, you know what they call root cause analysis. You know what they call root cause analysis, right? The root of all our problems is poor governance and leadership. That should be number one. The reason why we have a problem with all the others, the reason why we have a problem with all the others is because of poor governance and leadership. And this poor governance and leadership should be number one. If there is one thing to tackle in Africa, if there's one thing to tackle, it is poor governance. Fix governance. Fix governance and leadership. And you will resolve all the SDGs. Right? That's my submission. That is right? That is my submission. And that should be number one. I think as the SDGs were written by or compiled, compilation is a better word, compiled by the West as some kind of I don't know what's the word. I don't know, as some kind of they were thinking about the way they were thinking about it. They were thinking about, especially when it comes to Africa, relative to Africa. Let me be very clear. Let me be very precise. That relative to Africa, right? SDGs were written, compiled by the West as some kind of looking at Africa from a distance, not necessarily trying to resolve African issues. I think so. Relative to Africa, and once again, share your thoughts with me. Because Africa, our problems are different. The sequence, the naming convention, there is a sequence challenge with the SDG. For Africa, there's a sequence challenge for Africa. I'm going to go around Africa teaching SDG around the whole of our 54 countries, right? We're working on it. There's a sequence challenge for Africa. The sequence, right? The sequence for the goals. there's a problem with the sequence for the goals. That's problem number, that's one of the challenges, right? Oh, they came up with something. Don't look at the African Union came up with something, a 50-year plan. It was a plan for 2060. Everybody, can you look for the link? Can you look for the link for me? The African Union came up with their own interpretation, but the implementation and execution has been a problem. Theirs was a 50-year plan. It came out in 2013 or something like that, and is meant to last all the way to 2063. Everybody, go and check it out. Maybe you should put a link in the chat room, right? God bless you. I mean, we need an African-centric SDG. That's what they tried to do with the African Union documentation. That's what they tried to do. All right. Right? That's what they tried to do. Salihu, all right? Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, Salihu. How you doing? All right? Thank you. Victoria says, SDG were compiled by the West. Okay, there you are answering. Right, because there's a sequence problem. Sally has put the agenda 2063. They wrote this document in 2013. Everybody, the document was written with a 50-year plan in view. This was meant to be the African SDG. This document that Sally has shared here. Because really, there's a problem with everything there. Okay, let me ask some of you, and I'm still going to go through some of these things from the rudiments, because I know that some people here, they're young and they don't really know about SDGs, but just bear with us. We're still going to go through it. We still have about 1.5 hours thereabout, right, for us to do this. So bear with us, okay? Now, I always tell people that what are the top 5 needs of an African, right? Apart from governance, what else do we need? In the right sequence, everybody, can you tell me which one should come first? Is it food, health? Of this 4, is it food? Wait, now count Adetutu. Food, health, accommodation, education. Okay, tell me. So give me the right sequence. Mabel says, hold on. Mabel says food, health. Are you sure? What about, okay. Food, health. Okay. Okay, so let me, mine is in no particular sequence. Food, health. Okay, no. Food, accommodation, I don't know. I mean, some of you, I don't know where you want to put accommodation, but because remember that some people actually don't have a place to stay. And that means at night, they have to sleep on the bare floor in the open. Do you know that in Nigeria and Ghana, where a lot of the people, do you know that is still a challenge? Okay, let's also add water to it. Do you know some people don't have clean water? Then let us add health to it, and then education. Of this, what should be the sequence for this 5? So if you look at the 5 that I have given now, most people seem to agree that food is number 1. A lot of people seem to say that food is number 1. I'm not even sure what, I mean, honestly, I'm not even sure if I have an opinion. Iyaduni says, this is Iyaduni now. I don't really know. Fatima, food, accommodation, I don't know really which one should come first. Iyaduni says water, food, health, accommodation. I'm not sure all of us really understand what this lack of accommodation is. Say that to us, because accommodation means that they don't have a place to sleep. That means, you know, the weather conditions, the land conditions, the environmental conditions Mine, I don't know. I honestly don't even have an answer. I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't have a validated answer. But I know that these five, shows us people will pick food over accommodation. Yeah, Jesus, what's the place? Okay, so let's all agree that food is number one. After food, which should come first? Okay, so food and water should be together, right? Should we put food and water together? Should we put food and water together? Okay, good. Let's assume we put food and water together. Let's assume we put food and water together. Which should come after? Will it be health or will it be accommodation? After food and water, will it be health or accommodation? And so everybody, can you don't cast your mind into Lagos or Abuja or Accra. Think about the villages. Think about the villages. So maybe they have some kind of accommodation in the villages, right? They will do some kind of raffia, some kind of, they can do some kind of small place where people can sleep. Okay, so Sean says that in the village, they will always find a way. It's almost like accommodation is more of a problem even in the city than in the village, right? So Sean, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. After all, people live in the villages and they don't sleep. So what about in the areas where the environment is really poor? Like they've got harsh weather conditions. Will it be health before accommodation? Or Olua was saying something. What about in the areas where Aminat is adding security to it now? Aminat is adding security to it. Aminat is adding security to it. So if I go back to what I wrote before, Aminat is adding security to it. I mean, because also when you're thinking about the SDGs, you have to think about the village. Think about the village. Don't think about the urban places, because you've got to think about the village. Food, water. As somebody said, maybe accommodation, right? So maybe health. So where do we put security now? Where do we put security? Thank you very much for that, Aminat, right? Thank you very much for that. Where do we put security? It seems the last is definitely going to be education, right? Because, all right, food, water, health, security. I kind of agree with Victoria. Which is kind of like the sequence that I have here. I kind of agree. Yaduni say that even that was the point of food when the people are going to be they're going to be killed, they're going to be stolen, they're going to be raided. Huh. Hmm. Hmm. Ngozika is saying that, say that is also saying that when you don't have security, what is food? What is water? What is health? What are all these things? If your villages are going to be burnt, that's another valid point. Extremely valid point. Extremely valid point. Right? Let me ask this other question, everybody. Amongst the 17 SDGs, right? Among the 17 goals, which one deals with accommodation and housing for the accommodation and housing which one specifically go what? Deals with accommodation and housing for the poor or the common man? Which of them deals with that? Categorically. Is it 9 or is it 11? Which of them is very specific about accommodation? All right. So you know the way, like in the West, in some advanced countries, that you can go to meet the government and tell them that I'm poor, I don't have money, I don't have a job, and then they will give you, especially in a place like the United Kingdom, they will put you on a queue, and after some time, they will give you some form of accommodation. Now, do you think that 11 is very specific about accommodation for the poor? Do you think that 11 is very specific around accommodation for the poor? Right? Because some people are saying, I know a lot of people will say 11, right? But you should also look at 9. Everybody look at 9. Then can somebody, I'm me saying housing is part of infrastructure. So I was going to say that, can somebody post the link for 2030? Please put the goals, all right? For 2030. Thank you very much, Iyaduni, because that's what I was going to say, that the way for you to look at it is to go and look at everything under 2030. So somebody should please put the link for 2030. It's an available link. It's available. So that, which is what Iyaduni is pointing at, saying that if you look at 11.1, right? Access, ensure access for all to adequate, safe, affordable housing and basic services and upgrade the slum. Right? No, don't, Temitope, it's good that you look at the 2030 documentation. Please share the link for the 2030 documentation. All right? See, all right? So infrastructure, we'll talk about roads, we'll talk about bridges, and all sorts of things. Now, this Africa, you see, right? So all of us, remember the 6 things we've talked about. Look at the sequence of the 17 goals, everybody. Does it relate to how you and I are thinking about Africa? Does it relate? No, it does not. You also realize that, it does not really address some of these things. How can you go and put accommodation? Africa is made up of slums primarily. You can't drop it at number 11. These are the key problems in Africa. These are the key problems in Africa. So I've said a lot of things today already. We've looked at goal 1, everybody. We've looked at goal 1, which is no poverty. And I've said that poverty is and that report, that poverty index shows it is a result of a lot of problems. Number 2, which is zero hunger. What is the solution to number 2, everybody? So I already established it. The sequence, there's a problem with the sequence. SDG sequence does not reflect the priorities in Africa for Africa. SDG sequence does not reflect the priorities for Africa. So Africa needs to have its own SDG, right? Maybe that African Union document, that 2063 document, maybe they need to do an updated version of that document. So that's number one. Number two, agriculture, right? Absolutely. So agriculture. Now, does the government have entities in charge of agriculture? The government in Africa, all the governments of the 50, do they have entities in charge of agriculture? In Ghana, who's the entity in charge of agriculture? And in Nigeria, who's the entity in charge of agriculture? In each of these countries, who's the entity in charge of agriculture? All right. Waste is also important. Yes. So it's not just about agriculture. Thank you very much, Ashaolu, Bosebumi. All right. So you see, do you think that the entities at the in Ghana and in Nigeria and in Cameroon and in Kenya, all the entities who are meant to be in charge of agriculture, do you think they're doing all that they should be doing? Anybody? Because that's it. It's agriculture first. Do you really think that? Do you think, for example, in Ghana right now, that the government, the last government, is really focused on agriculture? No, they're not. Do you think the government of Nigeria is focused on agriculture? Right? I agree, Sean, that it's especially in the north. But Sean realized that this high level of insecurity is not reflective of every country in Africa. Sean. So Nigeria is peculiar. The Nigeria on a scale of 1 to 10, especially in the north, will probably score 7 or 8 when it comes to insecurity. But in Ghana, and I live in Ghana, my friends, family, colleagues, they're in Ghana. You know that in Ghana, the insecurity is probably 2 over 10. So you know that insecurity is not everywhere, at least at the level that it is in Nigeria. So the answer to goal number 2 is what? The answer to goal number 2 is primarily agriculture. Thank you, Victoria. Are they doing enough? No. Who are those in charge of goal number 3, everybody? Goal number 3, Ministry of Health. Am I right? Health at the federal level, health at the state level, health at the regional level in Ghana, health at the municipal level in Kenya. Are they doing enough? So one exercise, and my colleague Olaoluwa will probably be on the call. We have a document that we've mapped. Olaoluwa and Esther, maybe you can find that document where we brought government agencies, MDAs in Nigeria and Ghana. We put them together. Government agencies, if you find that that document is definitely between Olaoluwa and Esther, you can put it, you can upload it on this in this chat room. I agree, Gloria, the government is not the only player. I agree completely. I agree, Gloria. But remember that we started saying that 80-20 rule. Who's got majority of these things? 80-20 rule. There are other players, but who's the primary responsibility? Are you sure that we're trying? National, states? Are you sure we'll score 6 over 10? In which of this? So number 2 is meant to be, the answer to number 2 is agriculture. The answer to number 3 should sit with the Ministry of Health. The answer to number 4 is goal 4, education. Sit with the Ministry of Education. Olaoluwa, can you look for that document, please, so that everybody can have it? Okay. So you will see that there are government agencies. Which government agencies are in charge of number 5 in Ghana and in Nigeria? Gender equality. What is the difference between 5 and 10? My question number 1, which agencies Ministries, which MDAs are in charge of okay. All right. Okay, Amira says women affairs. Okay. Okay. In Ghana, who's in charge of number 5? What do you have in Ghana for number 5? Which agency of the government is in charge of number 5? Okay. Sally says gender, children, and social protection. Right. Okay. Good. I have a question. Everybody. Number 5 is definitely tilted towards female. Have you seen a report? Somebody was telling me that said that there is also male inequality. In fact, when it comes to child, what's that thing? What's that thing when the people are kidnapping children and taking them out of the country? They said it's actually more male than any other thing. Everybody, Allah has shared the document. Child trafficking, thank you, Jenny. Thank you. That when it comes to child trafficking, that it's more male than female. Somebody was telling me, how true is that? That there is a report that when it talks about child trafficking, that they're more male than female. So, Ololo and I were saying that the whole of Goal 5 cannot be only for women. Thank you, Gloria. That the whole of Goal 5, you cannot say that the whole of Goal 5 is for women. Because that would not be right. It will not be correct. We can say 70%, maybe 80%, but the whole of Goal 5 cannot be women alone, cannot be females. Thank you very much. Aha, Khadija, good girl. Hey, good girl. Khadija, yeah, now Khadija, speak. He said, I respectfully disagree. So Khadija, you're saying that the whole of Goal 5 should be only about women. Is that what we're saying? Khadija. Khadija says, I respectfully disagree. Khadija, tell me, are you saying the whole of 5 should only be for women? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
That the males, that it should be for females. I keep saying women, it should be for females. Right? Who agrees with Khadija? Khadija, I don't agree. I agree that women, female will be maybe 80%, maybe even 90%. Aha, right? Okay, my other, I disagree to agree. All right, my other question is, what is the difference between Goal 5 versus Goal 10? Anybody? Which one should we be worried? No. It's just no. It can't be 50-50. No, it's not. Because that's not reflective of the reality. That's not reflective of the reality. All right? So it's no. I also don't agree with Khadija. I think it's like an 80-20 or 90-10 type rule. I think the inequality is more women, more female than male. All right? I think it will probably be about 80-20, something like that. Because there is inequality for males too. Now, what is the difference between Goal 5 and Goal 10? So, what are the groups of people that are marginalized? And what is the criteria? I remember when Olaolu and I were working around this. So, is it more? So let's take gender out of 10. Am I right? There's no point putting gender in 10 any longer because 5 already has dealt with gender. So 10 will be what? Ethnicity. What else? What about social class? Right? Ethnicity. What about social class? What about religion? What about age? Thank you very much. What else? Ethnicity. Can be age, can be race, color. Right? Thank you very much. Disability. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Goal 10. Because you know, Goal 10 just says we should do reduce inequalities. Right? The marginalized groups will be based on what? Is it age? Because we've already dealt with gender. Is it ethnicity? All right. What else? Is it based on educational? Can it be based on educational qualifications? What else? Can it be based on educational qualifications? I've already added social class, right? Educational qualification. Can it be based on demography? Economic economic ranking, right? Can it be based on yes, economic status? Can it be based on profession? So I think, can it be based on political affiliation? Thank you very much. Right? Can it be based on political affiliation? Okay. So these are some things relative to number 10, everybody. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have about 12 here. So that our goal 10 can affect everybody. Our goal 10 that talks about reduce inequalities. The inequalities are of many types. The inequalities are of many types. The inequalities are of many types of inequalities. Okay? Now let's go back to goal 6. You know, the reason why I went to 10 is because we were talking about 5. The reason why I went to 10 is because we were talking about, I mean, I learned 5 and 10 together. So 5 and 10. The one for gender and then the general one. I learned 5 and 10. I learned them together. Then let's talk about 6. 6 is what? Water and sanitation. 6 is water, clean water, and sanitation. Should I put those two things together? The interventions, this is my question. The interventions for clean water, are they the same intervention for clean environment? Should these two be together? When we start to talk about the effect of waste, either household waste or all sorts. So because when we start to talk about sanitation, right? Right? So once again, thank you, Kwame. That's why I say that, you know, you can't take the SDGs and swallow it. I agree that they're definitely linked, but they're not the same. All right? There's definitely linked. Sean Ogungwe, they're definitely linked. But remember, my question is, all right, one is a subset of the other. Am I right? Clean water is a subset of the clean environment or a clean society. And if you and I go to a particular location, there are specific interventions when it comes to clean water. And there's specific interventions when it comes to sanitation and a clean environment. There's specific interventions relative to these areas. The specific intervention. Okay? Yaduni says they should be addressed together. Okay? With some of the others, right? Okay. You also say that environmental protection. Okay. We'll get to some of the other ones, right? Okwemi says that there are loads of places that don't even have water in the first instance. And those places, sanitation is still a challenge. So while there is a link, all right, I think the interventions sometimes are different. Okay. Now let's go to goal 7. That's my grouse with goal 6. I think water and sanitation, they can be together, but you should realize that the interventions in specific locations for each of them, they're different. The interventions in specific locations for each of them, they're different. Let's go to goal 7. Okay? Can goal 7 is a joke, right? The concept of clean energy, is it even feasible for the poor? Clean energy for the people that have no energy. Clean energy for the people that don't have electricity. Show you're very is the concept of clean energy, right? Should we be talking about clean energy for the people that have no proper energy? We're not even talking about affordability first. Right? Should we even be talking about this goal? Is it applicable to somebody in a village in Africa? Clean energy in Africa. What is the electricity penetration in Nigeria and Ghana? Can somebody look for that data for me? And you know that whatever data you get for Nigeria, that data, you should take it with an entire pot of salt, because having access to electricity in Nigeria does not mean having constant access. You know, in Nigeria, there is access and then there is constant access. What is the electricity penetration in Nigeria versus Ghana? Can somebody look for that data for me? So when you talk about somebody in the village, should you even be discussing affordable? Is solar, people, so you see people, everybody will talk about solar. Is solar an affordable source of clean energy for the poor? Is solar an affordable source of clean energy for the poor? Jenny said, affordable care. You know, all right. So this goal 7 is a joke. So this goal 7 for the poor. Once again, Khadija, my point is the sequence. This thing needs localization. Okwayemi, sunken solar is affordable for the poor. Okay, please tell us. Okay, It's like goal 8. They said decent work. Is there work first? Everybody. What is the employability status? The employment and employability status. Right? In Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana. What is the employment status? Yes, safe working conditions where when we don't even have the work at all. You must have work before you start to almost 60% of Nigerians of the age that should be able to work. That should be able to work don't have jobs. So you must have work before you start to talk about decent work. Am I right? There must be work before we start to discuss decent work. So you can see that there is a bigger problem. In fact, that goal 8 should have been economic growth and decent work. That goal 8 should have been economic growth. In fact, I will even put decent work inside, because decent work is something that they worry about in the West. Decent work is something we worry about in the city. Decent work is what we worry about in a big establishment. The problem in Africa is that there is no work. There is no work. The person must be at work before we start to talk about safe conditions. The thing to deal with is that there is no work. And encouraging everybody to go and make chin-chin like Nigeria tries to do, that everybody should be an SME business person, is not the answer. Definitely not the scalable or sustainable answer to economic growth. Because that's what they'll tell you. All of us, we should make hair. All of us, we should make shoe in our backyard. All of us, we should make chin-chin, and we should make more money to sell. Or we should make kenke. That cannot be the national answer. I like chin-chin, that's why. I like chin-chin. I'm the friend of chin-chin sellers. So I think number 8 is a big problem. It's economic growth. Decent work is far. We don't even have work. We don't have work. That's the problem. We don't even have work. You go around, go to different countries. People who can work don't have jobs. So that's a problem. If you go to goal 9, why do we have these 3 things together? Can somebody tell me why this triple I, why are they together? She'll say, well, yeah, chin-chin is where you have eaten, right? After, if you haven't eaten, what will you? So everybody tell me, why are these 3 things together? Why are these 3 things together for goal 9? Why? Can somebody explain? Because the intervention, can you hear me mute that person? The intervention for industry is different from innovation, and it's definitely different from infrastructure. Why are the 3 of them together? No, you have to need this is a generic answer. The triple I's. What the intervention to ensure that various industries exist and can grow. is completely, in fact, that is very, and can grow, is very economic. It's part of economic development. In modern day, innovation cannot run away from the use of information technology. In modern day, that means it's the ministries or whatever it is that are in charge of technology, how we can use whatever kind of technology, whether it's AI, whether it's an ERP, those are the people. You can't do innovation in modern day without technology. Now, it doesn't mean that technology is the only way to innovate, because you might innovate in other ways also. But I'm just saying that technology is critical. Okay? Right? And then infrastructure, which talks about works, roads, plus bridges. Why? I mean, I don't even agree that these three things. In fact, if you check the government of Ghana, go check the government of Nigeria, the entities, the MDAs in charge of these three things are different. The ministries, Ministry of Technology or something, the ministry in terms of works, the ministry in charge of economic, they're different. Why is industry kept here? This triple I under number 9. The interventions are different. I don't think they should be together. I don't think so. I might be wrong, of course. I definitely might be wrong. I think they need to move the industry, move it to economic. If you and I agree that information technology is one of the enablers, can somebody of growth, then information technology should not be submerged. And I don't think information technology and infrastructure development should be put together. Everybody, what is the market capital? Can somebody help me check very quickly? All right. I don't even think so, Chill. I don't think so. Right? What is the market capital of Microsoft? Anybody can you help me check? What is the GDP of Africa? Do you know? The GDP of Africa. Anybody, do you know? Anybody? Do you know the GDP of Africa? Does anybody know? And what is the market capitalization? The market cap for Microsoft and maybe Apple. Can somebody check for me? The GDP of Africa is about 3 point something, about $3 trillion. What is the market cap of Microsoft and Apple? Individual companies, private companies. These private companies, these are private companies. These are private companies, right? So Microsoft is equal to the GDP of Africa, right? Apple is more than the GDP of Africa. The whole of 54 countries. Let me tell you another interesting one. What is the GDP of California? GDP of California. Can anybody help me check? The GDP of Africa. That is why they call Africa the country of Africa. That's why they call it. Can anybody help me check the GDP of California? California is one state in the United States. One state. Do you know their GDP? Does anybody know? Can you check? So That means the GDP of the whole of California is equal to the 54 countries in Africa. Now, my point is that something like information technology, which is the most important thing when it comes to when it comes to innovation, you can't put it together. As I said, these people, they weren't thinking of Africa. They were not really thinking about Africa. I don't think number 9, we should put those 3 things together. What are the interventions? Because when you're doing roads and bridges and those types of things that are infrastructure related, it's completely different from technology. And when you want to do industry development, everybody, industry development, where is electricity among all the goals, everybody? Where is electricity? Or where are the places where electricity can be among the goals? Can somebody check on the in the 2030 document? Because, right? Sure, I agree. Right? So there's a leg of electricity is definitely in 7. But part of that infrastructure is definitely also electricity. I think Africa needs to rewrite its own. I don't know, those 3 things, the intervention. So if we want to develop various industries, somebody told me something. He said in the US, do you know how big the wrestling industry is? Can somebody help me check? The size of the wrestling industry in the US, what's the size of the wrestling industry? That's a non-existent industry in Nigeria. The people are fighting so that they can win cartons of milk and sugar or something in different villages. Right? Meanwhile, that is an entire industry. So, industry development, why are we going to put it with infrastructure? Why are we going to put it with wrestling? I'm sure you will not find any data for wrestling in the wrestling industry. What is the valuation of the wrestling industry? So my point is, I don't think those triple I's should be together. I might be wrong, but those are my thoughts. We've talked about goal 10, everybody. Please share the link for the 2030 document, right? The difference between, that's what I just said, industry development should be about the development of various types of industries. And that's why I said that I think industry development is part of the economic activities. Because at the end of the day, the industry contribution is to the economic activities and the GDP of the country. Innovation is doing things in a different way. And in modern day, it's really about leveraging technology. What is the projected size of the AI industry by the end of 2025? Right? In the US. Do you really think that if AI is the smack in the middle of innovation, you think we should put it to the road development? Really? What percentage of Nigeria's got good roads in the villages? Hard roads. Maybe can somebody look for the data for me? Hard roads in Nigeria. The roads that are tarred. So once again, everybody. So industry, the reason why we develop industry is so that we can contribute to the economic growth. I don't think those 3 I's should be together. Let's go to number 11. Okay, let me have to do, so nobody's answering me. Let me go and put the link for the 2030 here. SDG 2030. 2030. All right. It's the agenda is there. It's simple. I just wanted all of us to look at it. All right. Okay, so this is the link. I'll share it now and I'll even share my screen. Everybody, this is the link. Okay. So what I can do is share my screen. Everybody, where are we? This is 11. Look at some of the things for 11, everybody. So transportation system, housing, urbanization, and many of these things. Those are the things that are tied. So if you look at some of these things, what's our business with green? Should we be worried about green? Can poor people be worried about green? Anybody? Look at this too. Poor people, should they be worried about green? Especially this one. Remember that SDG is not for Accra alone. Remember, SDG is not for Abuja alone. It's not for Lagos. The concept of SDG is not for the people that are in urban or the urban centers or urban areas. I should be on the committee that will be writing the next version of this thing. I should be on the committee that will be writing the next version of this thing. Because they can make it clearer, they can streamline it further, and we can think about it from an African village perspective. We can think about it from an African perspective, thinking about Africans and our villages. It's just like here, if you move to the next one that talks about sustainable consumption. Is this applicable to the poor? Do poor people think about sustainable consumption? Production patterns, where in a lot of places, they still farm so that they can eat and sell some, where they have no form of storage in 70% of the farms across the whole of Africa. Because you can't write a set of goals that is only the educated, the urban people that can implement it. The other thing I wanted to say, I think the job of there's no point African leaders writing manifestos. All the manifestos are complete nonsense for the right. Everything every African leader should be looking to do is inside of SDG. So you should write it somewhere. Everything, the local government chairman, the state government, everything, everybody should be looking to do. Everything they should be looking to do is inside of the SDG. What else are you doing? What is the manifesto you're writing if it's not an SDG manifesto? So I kind of agree with the people that said that corporate organizations should worry about IWA 48. Government institutions should focus on 53001/2. all government institutions, this is what they're trying to do. This is what they should be looking to do. Okay, everybody tell me, how can we implement the goal 13 in the village? Tell me, share your thoughts. How can we implement this in the village? Some of the things that are under goal 13, won't it be directly antithetical to how the villagers even survive? Is goal 13 for villagers or people in the urban areas? Tell me about it. Goal 13, is it for villagers or people in urban areas? This goal 13 is a problem because people think that the whole of sustainability is about goal 13. Do you know that that most people, when you say sustainability, their mind automatically goes to goal 13. Most people, their entire understanding of sustainability is tied to goal 13. And that's not true. It's not true. It's not correct. As it is. Okay? Good. So, sustainability is beyond climate change, climate adaptation. It's beyond that. We had a webinar, they will share the link in the chat room last week Friday, on climate adaptation. There's an ISO standard. Everybody go and check it out. 14090. Everybody go and check it out. ISO 14090. Everybody go and check it out. ISO 14090. There's also a supporting document for the climate change enthusiasts that are here, or the experts or the champions. There's also another free document called the Net Zero Guidelines. Everybody go and check it out. I like those two documents. The Net Zero Guideline. If you're very much into climate change and adaptation, go and check out those two documents. The Net Zero Guidelines is a free document. You can download it. It's great. Is this a problem in Africa? Absolutely. Who is causing this? Corporate organizations, oil and gas companies, manufacturing companies. Who is causing this problem? Number 14 in Africa. Who is causing this? Why are the fishes dying? What are the human activities that are causing the degradation of life below water? Because I mean, they're human activities, am I right? They're human activities. To the poor, is there a concept called overfishing? Everybody. So the people who live completely, to the people who live in riverine areas, that the only form of economic activity is fishing. Can you can you judge them for overfishing? Anybody? Can you judge them for overfishing? The people whose only source of livelihood is fishing. Most goals don't even make enough provision. Go to a particular area, all they have is the sea. They have nothing else. Can you The government has not done anything to develop them, to educate them, to ensure that other thing. Can they overfish? Can they overfish? Mining activity, yeah, I mean, but once again, as they like to say on Instagram, these are the issues. These are the issues. These are the issues. These are the key issues. Okay? If you go to goal 15, everybody, life on land. In an African village where the only form of livelihood is to kill rabbits, for example, just using that as an example, or to kill elephants or lions. And that's where it's those rabbits that everybody eats at night. But that's all they have. Can you say that they should not kill the endangered somebody now goes to that village and says that this rabbits, that endangered species. Anybody? Can the people be, can you criminalize them for killing endangered species of animals? The place where the only way they can make money is to cut the trees and sell for wood. Can you criminalize them for cutting down the trees? Remember that these are hungry people. Remember that these are people that don't have electricity. Remember that these are people that don't have good schools. Remember that. Can you criminalize them for some of these things? So our study of SDGs is not for studying sake. That's not why we're studying it. It's for interventions. Remember, I said you need to take a solution provider's perspective. And if you're going to resolve something or provide a solution, you have to take into keen consideration the issues and the challenges that the people in a particular locality have. You have to take into keen consideration the issues and the challenges that the people in a particular locality that they have. You have to take that into keen consideration. Remember, SDG is not for the educated. SDG is not for the urban areas. And SDG is not a speech. It's beyond that. These are key interventions. Every time I speak to people that work in one SDG office or the other, I'm like, it's a coordination piece of work because you have to coordinate across many locations. And the goals are different. You have to really think about the goal. You can't do that thing that they call hook, line, and sinker. You just take it as it's written. You have to do what is referred to as adapt the SDG for your own environment. You have to think about the issues, the concerns that you have in your own area. All right? You have to think about that. If you go to goal 16, everybody, the one that I said they need to include governance, and the one that I think should be the first goal. So let's look at it. This goal 16. Where does it talk about elections? Because that's part of it, am I right? Specifically. Where does it talk about elections? Because if you deal with elections, you would have dealt with it. If you deal with free and fair elections, you'd have dealt with a lot of things. Which of this 16.1, 16.2, which of this 16 point something deals specifically? So 16.10 says what? Access to information. Then 10A says strengthen relevant national institutions, building capacity, promote and enforce non-discriminatory. The problem of Africa is governance. Governance leadership. That is because of poor governance, poor leadership. That is why 16.5 is a problem. That is why 16.4 is a problem. Policing is a challenge in Africa. Effective policing. So the root of all evil is poor governance and leadership. It is the root of all evil. All the evil is tied to poor governance and leadership. And if you want to help Africa, that is the one area that Africa needs help. And then, of course, 17 talks about partnership for the goals, which is great. You need to have all sorts of partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, more 90% ladies or 99, and maybe 1 or 2 gentlemen from our own organization. These are the issues. These are the issues. Everybody, you have an exam you need to pass. I have one more part to do here today, and then we'll call it a day. And one more part we need to do here today, and then we'll call it a day. So, all right. But from this, all right, so I will quickly open my computer, something on my computer, and I will take you through at some high level, ISO 53001. At some high level, 002, I beg your pardon. I'm going to take you through ISO 53002. I'm going to put a slide in the room. All of you should save the slide, and you should be all right. Should be all right. If I have some time, I might talk about SDG, but I think if you go through the link, I'm sure they've shared the link. I'll wrap up soon. I'll wrap up very soon. So everybody, I put something in the chat room. Which is the standard. And I hope you've all downloaded the standard. I hope you've all downloaded the standard. I will share, please, Philip, can you share the link? The link to ISO 52. I can share the link. All right, all of you should download the standard. It is the standard for SDG. And if you want to learn about ESG, go and look at the meeting. They will share please share the specific link for our ESG webinar. So everybody on this link that I've shared in the chat room, there is a free standard. You can download it, it's for free. To download it, it's for free. It's a brilliant document. Let me see. A brilliant document. It gives you the guidelines for implementing gives you the guidelines. Okay. Everybody check the chat room. Check the chat room. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. So before you can implement it, you must first know about the SDGs. That's why I've taken my time. I've spent almost 2 hours just discussing SDGs because you can't give what it is that you do not have. You cannot give what it is that you do not have. If you're ever going to implement or adopt this particular standard, you must know about SDG. Thank you very much, Sally. You must actually know about SDGs. You must know about SDGs. You must know how they work. You must know if you're serious about it. I put it in the chat room. It's uploading. All right. And I put the link in the chat room also. It's right here, blessed in the chat room. I put these things in the chat room. So this is not a speech. I don't think governments, I don't think organizations, even individuals should approach SDGs like you're just trying to give a speech. This is real work. It's real work. Every municipal, every state, every region should be implementing the SDGs. Every government, the government should be implementing the SDGs. And the MDAs, every MDA has a direct contribution to the SDGs. Every MDA, Olaoluwa shared a document earlier, just showing some MDAs, but every MDA, and I mean every MDA, has responsibility towards SDGs. Government, everybody check in the chat room so you can either download it. I also put the version in the chat room. Every government institution, every, not some. Every governor, everybody should, every head of state, every president needs to understand that the job of governance is the appropriate adoption and adaptation of SDGs. Remember what I said, everybody? It's all in the chat room. I said adopt and adapt, everybody. Adopt the SDGs, then please write this down. Adapt them to and for your own organization. Adopt the SDGs, then adapt them to and for your own, for your own MDA. Adopt and adapt. Adopt the SDGs and then adapt them. Adapt them for your own country. Adapt them appropriately. The concept of to adopt first. So what we're doing right now is part of the adoption process. But the adaptation process requires a lot. So what I've tried to do is that before I go into the standard, it is useful, it is important, it's necessary, it's essential, it's mandatory that you first understand the standard. I mean, the SDGs. Then we can talk about the standard, which will help you to adapt to them. So I'm going to do this very quickly. So on your marks, I need to ensure that by 1 o'clock, we're done with this meeting. So I'm going to do them very quickly. I'm going to do this very quickly. So in a sense, it's on your marks, set, and then go, okay? On your marks, set, and then go. As I said, as an organization, ISO standards is our specialization. If you want to ask us, what is the one thing that we know and that we do as an organization? ISO standards. Okay, so first thing that you can find here, everybody, there's a portion here that says understanding the external and internal issues and the overall context of an organization. That's the first thing. So we're going to talk about that. What are the internal and external issues that affect your own organization? That's very important. The internal and the external issues that affect your own organization. That's what the whole of that 4 is about. So what are the external issues? You can use something called PESTLE. Can somebody type what does PESTLE mean in the chat room? What does PESTLE, what does it mean? P-E-S-T-L-E. What are the PESTLE factors that are affecting your own organization? Anybody? What does PESTLE mean? Somebody can put those things in the chat room. Okay, so that's very important. The PESTLE factors that affect your own organization, and I'm hoping that somebody's helping me capture these things in the chat room. There are even nice diagrams that you can use that talk about PESTLE. The PESTLE factors that affect an organization. Then when you're talking about internal issues, you can use 2 things. You can use something that's called the SWOT analysis. Everybody, what are the SWOT analysis? What does SWOT mean? What does SWOT mean? Strengths. PESTLE means political, economic, social, technological, environmental, environmental and legal factors that affect an organization. Philip, I hope you're putting these things in the chat room. And then for the internal factors that affect an organization, you can use SWOT, SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that affect an organization. If you don't know these things, you won't be able to deal with, you can't deal with the things that you don't know. Am I right? You cannot deal with the things that you don't know. Okay? Another useful model for 4.3, everybody, is something called BMC. And everybody going to check something called the business model canvas. Business model canvas. The business model canvas. BMC. It's got 9 areas inside of it. And so there is a diagram for business model canvas. You need SWOT analysis and business model canvas to be able to tell about your internal issues. Or you need PESTLE to be able to tell about your external issues. So it's almost like, let me do something. It's almost like under, okay, so let me put something in the chat room. Thank you very much. So for external, all right, I hope you're capturing these things. You need to worry about PESTLE and VUCA. Can somebody help me check something called VUCA? The VUCA factors that affect your country, state, organization, like that, like that, like that. The VUCA factors that affect your country, state, organization, etc. And internal, you need to worry about your SWOT, and internally, you need to worry about your SWOT and your BMC, the 9 areas that make up the BMC. Okay? SWOT. When you come, where are you guys? I thought you would have put the diagram for BCM in the chat room. Where are you guys? Business model canvas, it's not here. So you want to implement this standard, these things that I'm writing, they must be clear to you. What does VUCA mean? Anybody? What does VUCA? What does VUCA mean? Anybody? And somebody put a diagram of VUCA factors that affect a country. VUCA. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Thank you very much, Anita. And how they affect either, how do these things affect either a public institution or a private institution? ISO standards are meant to be adopted by public and private institutions, and they must take into keen consideration all the requirements and clauses, within the required, within the standard that is being adopted. So everybody, so I hope you're noting some of these things now, right? The next thing, it talks about your interested parties. The impact, and there are 2 categories of interested parties. 2 categories of interested parties. Internal, who are some of the internal interested parties, employees, executive management. All right. Who are some of the external interested parties? Customers, regulators, your suppliers. So these are the things when you want to adopt an ISO standard. These are the things when you want to adopt an ISO standard. You must take into consideration your own context, your own specific organization. You have to worry about the context of your own organization, the context of your own organization, and the needs, interests of your internal and external stakeholders. Very important. Also, your organization affects them. How does your organization, how does the activities of your organization, how the activities and even inactivities, everybody, and even the inactivities of your organization affect the activities and the inactivities of your own organization, how it affects your stakeholders. All right. Once again, this is important and this is essential. Is that clear to everybody? Once again, this is important and it is essential. Are we good? Are we good? So if I go back to our standard, so that's what you see, 4.0 and 4.0 and 5 interested parties. Number 6 says you need to take into consideration, remember that this is not just climate, this is not just maybe number 13. You know, this is not just maybe number 14. All of you know about the 17 of them, because what this 6 is telling you here is that you have to be aware of the links, the interactions between what your organization does and these SDGs. Ordinarily, the government of Ghana should get every MDA to implement this particular SDG. The government of Nigeria should get every MDA to implement these SDGs. Everything, all of them. Because if you check that document that Olaoluwa shared earlier, and I'm going to beg him to share it again, and everybody should download it. The MDAs all contribute to the SDGs. The MDAs, they all contribute to the SDGs. So all of them should implement this standard. Let me move on very quickly to leadership. You know, people say that everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on what? On leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If the leadership is not committed, everybody, this is not going to work. If the leadership is not committed, this is not going to work. Organizations should be responsible, and there's some principles in the documentation. It's even expected that Organizations should innovate, everybody. It's even expected that organizations should innovate. And then 7.4, that you need to engage the interested parties. You need to engage the interested parties. You need to engage them adequately. That's what 7.4 is talking about. You need to engage them adequately. You need to engage them adequately. If you move to 8, does anybody know about the human rights? How many human rights? Can I get somebody put the diagram for human rights in the chat room? How many global human rights exist? Are there 30? Everybody. The United Nations human rights. Can somebody put the diagram in the chat room? How many human rights exist? How many? 30 of them. As part of your SDG implementation, you have to respect the 30 of them. The 30 articles for human rights. Somebody should look for them. There's a diagram. The 30 basic human rights. Okay? And then, of course, there's also the concept of equity and justice in your own organization. Equity or equity. Equity and justice. Equity and justice. Equity and justice. Equity and justice. Okay? How do we implement human rights? Is HR going to be involved in an organization? Absolutely. Everybody, have you seen the diagram for the 30 human rights? Right? So HR is involved with the work. HR is involved with the work. There is a diagram. Maybe I have to look for it myself. Somebody can help me. There's a diagram that talks about equality, equity, justice. There's a beautiful diagram. Somebody please help me. Look for the diagram for me. It talks about equality, equity, and justice. I love that diagram. Equality, equity, and justice. Equality, equity, and justice. It's a diagram. If you just type that into Google and click on images, it will bring it up. Okay. I love that diagram. Okay. And the diagram. I love the diagram. Equality. What's the difference between equality and equity and then justice? Maybe I should look for the diagram myself. Maybe I should look for it myself. Equality, equity, and justice. Yeah, I found it. Once you type it into Google, I click on those, yeah, I'll show you. I like the diagram. So you, that you're here. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. All right. Look at the one I have put in there. Reality. Equality, equity, justice. What's the difference? Anybody? What is the difference between these things? Equality, equity, and justice. What's the difference? What's the difference? Anybody? There any difference? Which one operates in Africa? The United Nations has got all sorts of documents when it comes to some of these things. So which one operates in Africa? Is it justice? Ha ha ha. Is it reality? Which one is in Africa? Is it equality? Is there any form of equity? In Africa, are you sure that there is equality? Everyone benefits from the same thing. Everybody gets equal treatment. Ha! How? I think in my own diagram, is that one that has the reality that is the real, the reality, Jenny, exactly, is reality. Reality is the real thing that happens in Africa, I think. Reality. Anyways, so these are important things. It's not, I mean, it's not easy for anybody to say they want to adopt a standard. You need a lot of intelligence, you need a lot of experience, you need a lot of knowledge to be able to help an organization adopt a standard and to adopt it effectively. Everybody, where we have that number 9, can you help me put the core diagram for ISO 37000 in the chat room? There's a diagram for ISO 37000. That standard should be adopted by private and public institutions. ISO 37000. That standard should be adopted by public and private institutions. The concept of governance. Another thing that we must take into consideration when it comes to that number 9 here is something called RASCI. Can somebody help me with the diagram called RASCI? Anybody? Who's responsible? Who is accountable? Who are those that support the responsible person? Who are those that need to be informed? And who are those that need to be consulted? Everybody. Somebody should look for a RASCI diagram for me. RASCI. What does it mean? How useful is it? When it comes to the allocation of roles and responsibilities. Very important. Very important. Okay. Also, if you get to number 10, you will see legal requirements that you must take into consideration. And the legal requirements in Ghana, they're different from the legal requirements in Nigeria. The legal requirements in Ghana are different from the legal requirements in Nigeria. I have a diagram, I have a table that I will show to you. It's called, I call it the best planning table that exists. I'll show it to you in a second. Let me look for it for your sake. Let me look for it. It's a brilliant planning table. It's a brilliant planning table. I'll show it to you in 1 minute. If you want to plan anything, just use this table. It's brilliant. Beautiful stuff. If you want to plan anything, just use this table. Beautiful stuff. I hope I can find it here on the computer. Where is it? Right, I found it. Hey, hooray. Let me show you something, everybody. This is the best way to plan anything. Can you see my screen? You should have objectives and you should have plans to achieve them, everybody. This is the best way to plan anything. Objectives and the plans to achieve them. Objectives and the plans to achieve them. The best planning methodology in the world, this is it. Why is this important? What needs to be done? Who will do it? When will it be done? Where will it be done? How will it be done? How do we measure if it's been done? This is the best way to plan anything and the simplest. The best way to plan anything and the simplest approach to planning. Okay? Best way to plan anything. Why is this important? Why this goal? What needs to be done? Who will do it? When will it be done? You know, you have to customize these things. Remember, I said adopt and then adapt. The next one that is there is something on change, everybody. In that standard, there's something on change. If you check, you have to think about change properly. Change is a big deal. Change is part of life. You can't run away from changes. But you have to manage change appropriately. Change is part of life, but you have to manage change appropriately. And there are different types of changes you should worry about. Change in governance, change in leadership, change in strategy, change in the environment. You know, you have to worry about change from many perspectives. You have to worry about change from many perspectives. Right. Right. So these are all the things that are involved if you want to get this right as an organization. If you want to get this right, you want to implement and adopt the standard properly. These are all the kinds of things you need to do properly. Okay? Then there's a portion in there that says, if you're going to adopt any standard at all, you need all sorts of resources. Are we all together? If you're going to adopt any standard at all, you need all sorts of resources. You need all sorts of resources if you're going to adopt a standard. That's why government institutions are not doing these things. They don't even know about this standard. They don't know how it's going to be done. They don't know. I mean, pretty much everybody's clueless around it. Pretty much everybody's clueless around it. Pretty much. Can anybody help me put something in the chat room? There's something we call the 5 M's of resource management. Anybody? The 5 M's of resource management. What are they? Does anybody know that? The 5 M's of resource management talks about money, talks about man, it talks about a methodology, it talks about machines, and then what's the last one? Money, man, methodology, machines, and what's the last one? Money, man, materials, materials. There's a diagram you can help me check. There's a diagram for the 5 M's of resource management. The 5 M's of resource management. Okay, that's very important. So the standard talks about resource management, the 5 M's of resource management. An organization that wants to adopt a standard has to be a very serious organization. For you to adopt a standard, you have to be very serious. The next thing that he talks about in the standard is something called competence. Everybody, it's called competence. In fact, there's another framework. It's called the four levels of competence. There's another framework. It's called 4 levels of competence. Can anybody help me dissect that? It's got something that we call unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, then unconscious competence. Anybody help me put these things in the chat room? Everybody also, what do you think will be your score as a person on this page? Give yourself a score, an overall score over 100. Everybody go to the chat room. In terms of how well do you demonstrate these things as a person? As a person. Give yourself a score as a person. Everybody go to the chat room. Give yourself a score as a person. How much of these skills and capabilities do you have? If you don't have the skills and capabilities, you will not be able to implement, and or neither will you be able to help an organization adopt this particular standard. So if you want to be able to help an organization adopt this standard, you're going to need these kinds of skill sets. Remember, I'm not just talking about knowledge, I'm talking about skills. There's a difference between knowledge and skills. Everybody, what's your score? Let me see. All right, thank you very much. 5 M's of management. Yes, absolutely. So, yes, no, I don't want racy. I want rasky. I don't want racy. I want rasky. I want rasky. Some people are giving themselves all sorts of scores. That's great. I don't have a way to justify your your score. Any score way you like, make you give yourself. You know, I can't justify. You know, there's a difference between knowledge and skills. So the standard requires that you're competent, everybody. The standard requires that you're competent. Let me move on very quickly. The standard also, it talks about competence from these perspectives. You know, in Africa, we only understand competence from number 2 perspective. Am I right? Africa, competence is equal to number 2, degrees and qualifications. In Africa, competence is equal to degrees and qualifications. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Okay. All right, let me move on very quickly. I like to use this for every time we're talking about competence. I like to use this a lot. Even internally in our own organization, this is what we use. This is our competence model, and it's from IBA, International Institute of Business Analysis. This is what we use internally in our own organization. This is what we use internally. All right, because of time. The standard also says that everybody needs to be out. You need to go through an awareness program like this for everybody that is in the organization. If an organization wants to adopt 53001/2, you're going to have to do awareness for everybody. It's a requirement of the standard. It's a requirement of the standard. You need to do awareness. Further to that, the standard requires that you put up a communication plan. Everybody, the standard requires that you put up a communication plan for both your internal and your external stakeholders. That's what the standard requires. And you put up a communication plan with your internal and external stakeholders. And then the standard also requires that you put a document management process in place, a process by which you manage documents. This is also a requirement of the standard. Okay. So those are some areas. Let me go back to the other slide. Just give me a minute. Okay. 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 So let me quickly show you an extra 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Monitoring. The standard expects that, because of our time, let me just do this. So adopting the standard is not child's play. It requires a lot. It requires a lot. So if you come, everybody, can you see those things under 11 on my screen? Those are the things I just spoke about. Those are some of the things I just spoke about. The things under 11. Then under 12, you need to worry about how you plan. You need to worry about the processes, products, and the suppliers and vendors. So everybody, for 12.2, you need to worry about the vendors and the suppliers that you work with. For 12.3, you need to worry about your IT, because that's where data management is involved, applications and databases. For 12.4, you need to do something called impact assessment. The impact of your organizational activities on your stakeholders. The impact of your organizational activities on your stakeholders. 13.1, you need to have KPIs. 13.2, you need to hire internal, you need to carry out an internal audit by hiring internal auditors. 13.3, executives of the organization need to meet to discuss the implementation, the adoption, and even the growth of the standard. For 14.1, let's everybody going to check out something called SDG adoption maturity or implementation maturity. Everybody go and check something out and put it on in the chat room. SDG implementation or adoption maturity. SDG maturity will be fine, actually. Right? There's even something called an SDG maturity index. So how mature is the country, the states, the local government when it comes to SDG? Okay, and you see some of these things in the annual goals report. You know, there is an annual goals report. So you see the 2024 report. It's available somewhere. And lastly, you have to be As part of this, you have to understand the concept of conflict resolution. You have to clearly understand the concept of conflict resolution. We'll share some of we'll share this slide with you, and we'll also ensure that we share the exam. There's an SDG champions exam to share with all of you in as much as you feel the attendance. So, all right. So what are the things that we have learned today? Everybody, please let's go to the chat room. Tell me your experience. What have you learned today? I can't even remember everything I have said because I've been speaking off the top of my head, but I know I have spoken about ESG today. And now I've spoken about SDG today. Everybody, what else have we talked about today? I know we've talked about the poverty report, the poverty index report, the global poverty index report. I know I've spoken about various standards, right? I know I have spoken about 37000. I know I have spoken about a lot of things. I can't even remember. I know I've spoken about ISO 26000. Please tell me, what is your big takeaway from this session today? Everybody. And now I've made everybody download Iowa 48. And I've also spoken about the standard ISO 53002. I know I mentioned something around, and I know I have given my recommendations around the SDGs in themselves. Please tell me, give me some feedback, everybody. What's your big takeaway? Yeah, individual corporate responsibility. Yes, absolutely. Everybody give me some feedback. Somebody's talking about the 5 M's of resource management. All right? We've talked about RASCI. I've talked about business model canvas. Talked about PESTLE. About SWOT. Said a lot. I can't remember. Thank you. I've talked about VUCA. The degree of volatility. I've mentioned ISO 14090 plus the net zero guidelines. All right, I've talked about that. I can't remember everything I have said today. The AU agenda. Thank you very much. 63, yeah, 2063. I've also talked about the SDG 2030 document. 2030, that page, yes. SDG 2030, 2030. Okay, yes, the one for community. Thank you very much for reminding me. 137101. Yes, that ISO standard. Okay. Yes, I've talked about adopt and adapt. Okay. What else? Others, quickly tell me so that we can round this up, everybody. What else have I said today? I have said a lot. I cannot remember everything I have said. I have definitely said a lot. We even talked about equality versus equity. Versus justice. We even talked about the United Nations human rights goals. United Nations, the 30 United Nations human rights goals. Talked about that. What else have we done? Anybody? Anybody? Can't remember everything we've done today. It's a lot. Okay. So I hope it's been worth your while. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Definitely great having you. Please follow A4S if you don't mind. The team will drop yes, we talked about GDP. GDP. The GDP of Africa, plus the GDP of California, plus the GDP of Apple. Apple is worth more than the whole of Africa. Isn't that a problem? Eh? Yes, we also talked about 80-20 rule. Yes, the 80-20 rule. Yes, absolutely. All right. Please follow A4S. Can you guys put the A4S details and attendance? Can we, Onyi and the team, can you guys please just answer me? Esther, I'm handing over to you now. I'm done. Attendance, because if you don't fill the attendance, we will not send. We will not send the exam link. So there's an exam link we'll share with you. Please. So those are some of the things. So I think those are some of the things I have. So yeah. Okay. Esther. All right, she's dropped the link. Esther, I thought this would be for when the people feel the attendance. I thought it would be when they feel the attendance, because it's important that you feel the attendance. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I mean,
Hello?
please, everybody should please fill the attendance. And thank you very much. That's it for me. I'm signing out. I'm handing over to Esther. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Orlando. It's a privilege to be trained by you. So please, everybody, would like to, I sent the attendance, I sent the exam link because we know that you might be having a couple of difficulties with respect to logging in and taking the exam. So we'd like to give you a demo on how it would work, and so that you would not have issues with taking your exam. Please give me a minute and I will share my screen with you shortly. Can everybody see my screen?
I can see your screen, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, so I dropped the link on chat box. This is the interface that you would be seeing. I don't know, the network is terrible. Good. So this is the interface you'll be seeing. It would showing you something like this. You cannot start your exams without logging in. And so what you're expected to do is to click on the login. If you do not I'm already logged in on here. So if you do not have an account, you click on the register an account. If you don't have an account, you click on the register an account and go through the process, first name, last name, username, any name that you're comfortable with that is not taken, you can use it. It could be a combination of your first name and your last name, your email address, and the password you would like to use. You can fill it, you could say through a training program. How did you hear about SMBP? Through a training program. Click on the agreement box. So if you want to get information from SMBP, you can click on it and press submit. When you are done with filling it, it will take you automatically to the exam home front. But for my own end, I'm going to, okay, sorry, just let me see. I'm sorry, let me take that again. Okay, good. And so it brings you here. You're going to be answering the questions that are here. You have a time limit of 30 minutes. And so I'd advise that you start your exams when, you know, it's convenient for you to, because you have 30 minutes. Once you're done, you can review the questions, make sure your answers are correct, and you submit it by clicking on exam summary. When you're done with clicking on it, you press finish exam. Once you press the finish exam, it automatically gives you your result. And if you meet the cutoff mark, you get your certificate immediately. Does anybody have any question?
Oh, good afternoon, ma. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Okay, so I want to ask, the exam, is it once, like, let's say somebody didn't meet up, can you rewrite it? Is there any
Definitely
opportunity
you
like
can
that?
rewrite it. Yes, yes, you can rewrite it. I mean, we also understand that we learn with at intervals. I think Oyin will be sharing, you'll be getting an email, and Oyin will be sharing the class slides with you, so you can go through it again before taking the exams. I mean, the exams is not so difficult because this is our foundation course, or champions course rather, but you can go through the slides and take the exam again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Does anybody have any other question? Okay, so I'm going to assume that we all have it,
Sorry,
we all
I have a
understand.
question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, I've registered with SDP before, so I'm finding it difficult in beginning.
Okay, so you already have an account, so you just use your account. So you'll be logging in instead of signing in. You're going to be logging in because you already have an account with them already. Just click on the exam link and you're just going to be logging in.
Because I
Does
was
that answer your,
logged out, I just logged in back.
all right, does that answer your question? Any other
Sorry, is there a
person?
deadline? Is there a deadline to take the exam?
Yes, I expected that the link be sent so that I can
I'm sorry, I didn't get what you said at day 2. Please, can you take that again?
I said, do we have a deadline to take the exam? Like, is there a
Oh, yes,
deadline?
of course. So, yes, please, we'll be revoking the link by Friday. We'll be taking the link out. Yes. So we all expect that everybody take their exam, pass and finish by Friday.
Oh, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so that means you can take the exam at any time.
Yes, that's why I said that you should pick a favorable time where it's convenient and conducive, and you know that you have a working internet.
Okay,
So for the last question for me, I want to ask, what's the cutoff points like? So in case we know, we take. Do we need to have
So
100/100 or max
there's
60?
there's a fair enough percentage. It's well above 50, but don't worry, the exams are very easy, so you will definitely pass it.
Okay, of course. All the
Yes.
question is
Can
positions
you
just to pass this
send
exam.
to the chat box?
Okay, please, can this link be sent to our email?
Yes, of course. All this information will be sent to your email. I want to do a live demo to ensure that nobody have any issues with respect to logging in on the site.
Okay, thank you.
When do we get the slides? Hello?
Can you take that again, please?
Please, when do we get the slides?
Before the close of business today, you're going to get access to the slides.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I am going to assume that there are no more questions. Okay, so in the absence of no question, I would like to officially thank our lead trainer, Dr. Orlando, for an amazing section. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you to our participants for joining in. We're grateful. Thank you very, very much for learning and also engaging during the class. Please, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at A4S Online, on LinkedIn at A4S Online. And you could also attend some of our upcoming webinars. We have one on Friday, the 28th of March, 2025. If you know that you are very much interested in SDG 8, we have a webinar that is going to be going in depth into SDG 8, its targets, and where we are as a continent, and we'll be covering Ghana and Nigeria as a case study. Please, Oyin, can you kindly drop the registration link for the webinar on Friday in the chat box, so you know that SDG 8, I saw a comment that says that our trainer is very passionate about SDGs. Of course, it's something that SDGs are very, very key to addressing the global challenges, especially when it comes to Africa's challenge. And so if you know that you're very interested in SDG 8, you know that you're ready to learn more about it and actually to interact with government officials that are responsible, MDAs that are responsible for SDG 8, you can show up on Friday by 12 noon, and would be here waiting for you. Please, is the link there already? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Yes, it's an objective question. I just saw this question now. It's an objective question. If you registered before joining the meeting, or while trying to log in, you fill in the information that we asked you to fill in, you've already registered. So you've already registered, we already have your data, because when trying to join in or connect to this meeting, you actually filled a form, so we already have your data. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Do have an amazing day.